What is up, YouTube? I'm Gaudet74 here, bringing you our Week 8 battle of the PEBA. This week we take on Zombie, coach of the Victinis. We are going into this game with a 5-2 record, while he is going into this game with a 3-4 record. Now, before we get into this, I want to let you guys know that finals week is finally over, so I do have more free time, so that's really cool. But the problem is that I went to a concert last night and my voice is absolutely shot. So, I mean, it's going to sound a little different this video. But anyway, we're going to move on. We're going to look over his team as we're going to get into this team builder now. His team is really scary. His team consists of Arceus Bug, Celesteela, Necrozma, Heatran with Z moves, Azumarill with Z moves, Mega Absol, Slurpuff, Primeape, Electrode, Murkrow, and Hippopotas. Now I have my team on the left side so you can compare the matchup. Personally, I don't think the matchup isn't that bad, but it's not really the easiest either. What I expect him to bring consists of his first 7 mons easily. His team is a little bit top heavy, so his first 7 mons definitely do some good work against my team. I don't know which Pokemon he's going to leave on the bench, if I'm going to be honest, but it's definitely going to be one of those 6 of 7. Now, the biggest problem against my team is easily the Azumarill and the Necrozma. The Necrozma, because my Psychic Switch-In does not really exist, and Photon Geyser is a unique move where you can choose it to be physical or special. I think it's going to be special in this game, but physical could definitely throw me off. And Azumarill, because unlike Slurpuff, Belly Drum Azumarill is much more threatening because Azumarill can set up easily, and a +6 Aqua Jet is very scary against my team, as I really don't have a switch into it. I have like 1, so I definitely have to play a little bit differently. And lastly, Arceus Bug is a problem because it's an Arceus Bug. Luckily, it has 4 moveslot syndrome, but I do have to find out what moves it has in order to deal with it accordingly. So that is his team. Luckily, Volcarona I'm bringing that has a really good matchup late game against him, so I have to keep hazards off the field in order for Volcarona to work late game, and if Arceus Bug doesn't have rock coverage. So that's kind of the goal for this game, and that is his team. I'm going to go over my team now. The team I am bringing this week consists of Volcarona, Mega Diancie, Greninja, Arcorio, Pom Pom Form, Tangrowth, and Tentacruel. So as I just mentioned, the first mon we are bringing this week is Volcarona. Volcarona is holding the leftovers with max special attack, 216 speed with a timid nature, and 40 in HP. Moves being sub, a flamethrower, a bug buzz, and HP ground, sub 3 attacks basically. This is our cleaner and win con of the week. I say this because Volcarona itself cannot OHKO everything on his team, even though I do have super effective coverage for a lot of things on his team. But if everything is chipped down, I can basically knock out everything. I have HP ground for the Heatran, a flamethrower for Celesteela, and Arceus Bug, and Bug Bugs for Necrozma, and then his lower tiers can't really take hits that well from this thing either. I do have to be careful with Azumarill. I'm not a Quiver Dance set because of Azumarill. I don't want to set up a Quiver Dance and then just Aqua Jet just finishes me off, because Volcarona just does so much work with its coverage already. So that's why I decided to do sub 3 attacks. But that is the main reason I brought that. I just gotta be careful of Azumarill setting up on me because I do not have any coverage for that thing. But anyway, moving on. Next up we have Mega Diancie. Mega Diancie is holding the Diancie with max special attack, modest nature, 248 speed with 8 in HP, and with the move Stealth Rock, Moonblast, Diamond Storm, Earth Power. The speed is for Primeape, and the coverage is just naturally just good against this team because Mega Diancie hits so hard already. And I have Stealth Rocks up because Celesteela is mainly a good switch-in for Diancie, and I'll just set up rocks on a Celesteela switch-in. Luckily, these rocks are not really a priority though, so I don't have to be forced into going up rocks. It's always nice against this team because like Arceus Bug exists, and getting that thing chipped down as much as possible and forcing it to recover is always nice, but again, not really a priority. But the good thing is that I know Sean, who had the Arceus Ice, brought ground coverage for my Mega Diancie, so I'm not going to be completely surprised if Arceus Bug also has a ground type move on it instead of a steel type move, and most of the time I can live that hit, so I'm going to be able to get a big Diamond Storm off against him, and that would be very important if he doesn't have the steel type. That is my alarm going off, sorry about that. But that is the Mega Diancie set. Next up we have Ash Greninja. Ash Greninja is rocking a Life Orb with max attack. This is a physical Greninja with 240 speed and a Jolly nature, 16 in HP. Moves being U-Turn, Gunk Shot, Waterfall, and Night Slash. This is here to deal with the Azumarill offensively because at +6, an Aqua Jet does not OHKO Greninja, so that's pretty good, and Gunk Shot just does a load to it. Same with Slurpuff. Can't really set up Belly Drums because like, Gunk Shot exists, and Gunk Shot should OHKO them, I think. I don't know the exact calc. I think it's a roll to OHKO, but there's that. That's why I decided to put Life Orb, because I did have Extra Belt, but the damage just wasn't strong enough because this thing's hella weak. So I decided to do that. Waterfall for Heatran, because if Heatran's going to be defensive, it's going to be especially defensive, so Waterfall will do a little bit more that way. And Night Slash for Necrozma, and U-Turn just for general pivoting. I put that speed because I did want to pivot out on Arceus Bug while getting damage. Nothing really does much to it, but, you know, pivoting. And same as Celesteela, I can't really touch that thing, but again, I can pivot out into Volcarona or my Oricorio, which is coming up next. But that is just the Greninja set, basically to make sure his Billy Drummers don't set up on Greninja, and just to pivot around his team. But as I was foreshadowing to, next up we have Oricorio Pom-Pom form. This Oricorio is running at max HP, 172 speed def, and 88 in speed, with a modest nature, with the moves Revelation Dance, Air Slash, Toxic, and Roost. I did have 4 moveset syndrome with this thing, which really sucked. I wanted U-Turn, and I wanted Defog, but I just got to go for Toxic because my Necrozma switch-in really doesn't exist. And Oricorio, while I still don't consider it a switch-in, if I can Toxic that thing and put it on a timer, it's a lot less scary because then my offense can deal with it a little bit better. Because my offense deals with Necrozma pretty well, but my defense has a really, really hard time against it. So Oricorio Toxic is at least there for it to do something against it. And it is invested very heavily in speed def because it is going to be my wall for Celesteela this week. Celesteela cannot really touch this thing, and Revelation Dance just does a load to it. And Revelation Dance is really spammable against his team in general, so that's really nice. I have Air Slash for the reliable accuracy over Hurricane, at least for the Arceus Bug. This walls Arceus Bug if he's not holding Ice Beam, because if he's got Rock Slide, it shouldn't do over half unless he's invested into an attack. And if he's invested into attack, that means Judgment's going to do less, and all of his special attacks are going to do less. So he would have to be like a physical Arceus in order to do work to me. But if he's special, unless it's got Ice Beam, which is a possibility, it just depends what moves he has. Because he's going to have Judgment, he's going to have Recover, he's going to have the Rock move, and that last move is going to be like a Ground type move or an Ice Beam. Depends. So that's what I'm expecting the Arceus Arceus Bug to be. So if it's that Ground, Rock, Coverage, Recover, Judgment set, then I basically wall the hell out of that. So that is pretty nice. It does good work against the Heatran. If it's like a defensive Heatran, I don't really take much from that either. So that is mainly what the Oricorio is here for. And Azumarill cannot set up on this thing because Revelation Dance exists. So that's cool. Next up, we have Tangrowth. The Tangrowth is rocking the Rocky Helmet with max HP at 216, speed def, 44 defense with an Impish nature, with the move Seed Bomb, Brick Break, Poison Jab, and Leech Seed. Leech Seed's pretty spammable against this team because I know that Celesteela is probably going to be the main switch into this thing. So if I can get or a Heatran, so if Leech Seed is up, then that makes it a whole lot easier to deal with. Basically, this investment allows me to live a +6 Play Rough from Slurpuff, and then I can weaken it with Poison Jab and Rocky Helmet damage combined, so that thing doesn't get too out of hand. This also walls a lot of his lower tiers, like a lot of his lower tiers. I think all of them basically, even Murkrow to an extent, because Braver is not going to be doing anything to that thing. Walls the Electrode, walls the Hippopotas, walls the Primate, but I do have to be careful if it's banded, but I don't even expect the thing to come. It walls an Absol if it doesn't have Fire Blast, but I expect it to have Ice Beam because Hippowdon exists as well, but I'm not bringing Hippowdon. So Tangrowth has a lot of is a lot of importance for his lower tiers and some decent importance for his higher tiers. If it's physical Necrozma, I could wall it, but I think it's going to be special, so I'm not going to get my hopes up about it. And again, just Leech Seed, spread around his team, and switch out, regen health, just kind of scat out some moves. So that is what Tangrowth's here for. And lastly, we have Tentacruel. Tentacruel is rocking the Black Sludge with 248 HP, 228 defense with a bold nature, and 32 in speed. Moves being Surf, Sludge Bomb, Rapid Spin, and Toxic Spikes. I don't really usually bring Toxic Spikes, but I think this week it'll do some decent amount of damage. Just chipping down his team is always nice for my Volcarona late game, as that is the late game I hope to succeed for. I do have Rapid Spin because I couldn't fit Defog on Zapdos, or Zapdos is his nickname. I mean Oricorio, so I had to put Rapid Spin on this thing, and Sludge Bomb just for, you know, just general stab coverage. What was I gonna say? I do live a +6 Aqua Jet from Azumarill. This is my switch in after something dies usually to it, so that's what Tentacruel's here for. And I had the 32 speed, so I don't get outsped by Azumarill. I believe it's for. It might have been an Adamant Slurpuff. It was one of those two. But Tentacruel's here for that. It walls the Heatran to an extent. If it's offensive and has Earth Power, I definitely have to be really careful about that. And I do expect Heatran to have Earth Power, so it's not the most reliable switch-in in the Earth, but it's a switch-in to say the least. But again, this thing does get walled by Celesteela, but I do have Liquid Ooze, so unless it's got Earthquake, it can't really do anything back to me. So that's pretty cool. And that is the team builder. That is the team we're bringing this week. I hope Volcarona can put in the work, because Volcarona has been struggling a bit to get kills this season. But anyway, we're going to move on to Pokemon Showdown, and we're going to watch the battle. So here we are on Pokemon Showdown. My voice sounds a little better, and I'm noticing that he did bring 6 of his first 7 Mons, and the one he decided to leave out was Mega Absol. So Volcarona is looking really well in this matchup as long as I can deal with the Azumarill. I'm going to leave with Greninja just so I can U-turn out, and he leads with the Azumarill, and I decided to just go for a Gunk Shot because this thing is the biggest threat to my team, as I do not knock it out, and he does proceed to knock me out with Play Rough. Now this is fine because Azumarill is no longer a belly drum threat. Unfortunately, he does live on 1%, and now he does have a chance to get an Aqua Jet off later in the game. As I am forced to go into Tentacruel this way, as I am going to fire off a Surf because I do not want to take a knockoff and lose my Black Sludge. He does go into Arceus, which is a good switch on his part. I just go straight into Oricorio. I want to find out if he can touch this Oricorio, as he does go for Earth Power, does nothing. And that's good, because now I can just fire off a Toxic, as he does make the smart play and go into Heatran, as I miss anyway, so it doesn't really even matter. Now, he probably is going to go for Rocks here. I'm going to go in Tentacruel, as I expect the Rocks to come, as he does set him up. Now here I know I can probably live 2 Earth Power, so I'm going to live up set up a Toxic Spike first, as he does use Earth Power, and it is kind of close, but I'm thinking, okay, I could probably live the second one. Worst comes to worst, I'll spin these rocks away, and I'll send in a Diancie with Earth Power, though I am a little scared, because after this, you'll see I'll live on 1%, another Mon that lives on 1%. And he does not have leftovers, so there's a chance he is a Shuka Berry set. But anyway, I decided to go for Surf, do some damage to Heatran, and now I make a really bad play this turn. I don't know what in the world I was thinking, but I click Surf again instead of Sludge Bomb, and this allows Slurpuff to get his Sticky Web up, and that is really going to come back to bite me in the butt. Slurpuff goes down, which is nice, but it really sucks that now his webs are up, and I'm forced to default spin at some point. And I can't spin against Arceus because it's an Arceus. It's going to go for Earth Power. Luckily, he does go for Earth Power, and Oricorio just comes in for free again. Now here I can fire off an Air Slash, but I decided to go for Revelation Dance, expecting the Heatran to come back out as he does. So good prediction on my part to get a nice chip of damage on Heatran. This shows that I forget the investment. I think he had some HP, but he wasn't like especially defensive or anything. I think he was more offensive, as he does get up his rocks. So this really sucks because Volcarona is really good against his team. But with the rocks and the webs up, it doesn't do nearly as much, as he is just going to fire off a Magma Storm. It's going to do a lot of damage to my Oricorio here, as it is partially offensive Heatran. Here, I'm just going to finish off the Heatran with the Revelation Dance, so that's pretty cool. Heatran's gone. And now, basically, I have Mega Diancie's pretty nice, except for the Celesteela, but Volcarona, if I can get these hazards off, it's really good. He goes for Ancient Power, and I barely live, which was really awesome because I was scared if he did have Rock Slide, he probably would have knocked me out from that range. But considering he switched out twice, I would assume he didn't have the Ice Beam by that point. So here I'm going to Roost up one more time, as he is taking regular poison damage from the Toxic Spike I had set up, which is nice. It's probably going to force him to show Recover in a second, which I'm assuming he has at this point. He's shown Ancient Power and Earth Power, as he does fire off the Recover here, as I do go for the Air Slash, and it does a decent chunk of damage. And now, for these next couple turns, Air Slash plus the Poison is doing just around 50%, so I'm going to speed this part up a bit. It goes on for a while. He keeps clicking Recover as I keep clicking Air Slash. This is a fine exchange for me because I'm getting leftovers recovery each turn, and he is not really gaining much from it. He's kind of hoping for an Air Slash miss because it is 95% accurate, so it has a chance to miss. While I, on the other hand, I'm hoping for a crit. If I can get a crit, breaking down this Arceus will be a whole lot easier. So we're both kind of fighting for this position right now, as it's going to be back and forth. If I had Defog on this Oricorio, it would be really nice because Toxic's not really really good because Necrozma's just going to come in on a Toxic Spike and get poisoned anyway, so Defog would have been really nice, but, whatever. I'm continuing the Air Slash. I'm not missing, but I'm also not getting crits, which kind of sucks, but if I can PP still out this Recover, that would be really nice. He's not really gaining much from this, as he does finally switch out into the Celesteela. I do go for the Air Slash, it does nothing, but I do have the Revelation Dance, and Celesteela can't really do much back to me, as it is going to do a nice 48%. It's not weakness policy, thankfully, as he does fire for Toxic, and this is really smart on Zombie's part, because now I can't really 1v1 this Arceus, because he still has a decent amount of Recovers left. Luckily, I do knock out the Celesteela, and that thing is gone, and now Diancie's looking really nice in this game, because I can live in Earth. I should be able to live in Earth Power from 88% if rocks are still up, and I don't have the webs drop. Now here I make a really dumb play. I go into Tangrowth expecting the Photon Geyser, and this damage shows it is definitely special. Considering I cannot Rapid Spin on anything, I should have just sacked off the Tentacruel, but I didn't. I kept the Tentacruel for basically no reason. I sacked off Tangrowth, And this is really going to suck here because I lose 10 growth basically for no reason. It was really still good against the Azumarill, even though it's at 1%. And I'm going to go into that Dynasty. It's my only play because the webs are still up. And I had to Mega Evolve and go for a Moonblast. It's my strongest attacking hit, as I'm going to Mega Evolve here and fire off the Moonblast. And this Necrozma lives on 1. Now, granted, a no bulk Necrozma, it's still a roll in his. It was a roll to kill, and it was a roll in his favor. So I can only be so mad about it, as Necrozma does go down the poison here. But this really sucks because if I had sacked off the Tentacool first, the Necrozma would have got an extra round of poisoning. Thus, the Moonblast would have knocked out the Necrozma the next turn. But I go to Volcarona so the Arceus doesn't get a free recover off, but he does go into Azumarill and just knock me out with Aqua Jet. And at this point, I realize, oh crap, I lost the game. I have to hope for I get like 3 more chances at a crit Air Slash. Because if I get a crit Air Slash, I can win this game. So he's gonna recover. I am gonna Roost Up first because I want to get as many Air Slashes as I possibly can off. I have actual Toxic while he has just regular Poisoning, so it's not stacking up against him. He goes for HM Power. I'm just going to start firing off Air Slashes because at this point I can't let him recover any more than he already has, as he is down to 12%, and I'm thinking I really, really need this crit. So basically, guys, it's going to come down to the next 3 turns. Do we get a crit, or do we miss and just straight up just lose the game at that point? That Air Slash, we do not get a crit. Now, he could HM Power, but then Tentacool will kind of just win the game at that point. So he's going to, all he has to do is click Recover. Air Slash, no crit. 40% though, higher roll. So we're down, he's down to 8%. It's so close. This is my last chance to get an Air Slash crit. He recovers. Do we hit it? We hit it. No crit. 15%. And I'm going to proceed to die to Toxic this turn. If I had one more Air Slash left in me, I think we would have been able to win this game. And unfortunately, guys, we are going to lose this game 1-0 because this Arceus was able to recover, stall me out. By the end of this game, he had 1 recover left. I checked the PP. I go for Surf. At this point, it doesn't matter. Even a Sludge Bomb crit wouldn't have mattered. I don't know why I didn't click Sludge Bomb on that Slurpuff. That really, really messed me up. That was such a dumb play on my part. But, you know, it's Mons. You make stupid mistakes sometimes. That's what happens. But GG to Zombie. Again, I did play pretty bad, but that's not to take anything away from Zombie. Zombie knew that Volcarona kind of went house on his team late game, and he got up his rocks and his webs in order to neuter Volcarona completely. So big props to Zombie on that part. But we are going to move down to a 5-3 record. Next week for the PEBA, we take on Jack, coach of the Brazumarill. He took over Gengar Raichu as a coach, and he made a Sand team and has Genesect on it, I believe. So that's going to be really scary. There's going to be a video going up possibly in the middle of the week. I'm not sure yet, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And next week, a new draft analysis will be going up for another league we have joined. But that is for next week, and so stay tuned for that as well. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you like Pokemon Draft League content, consider subscribing to the channel. That's all I got for you guys. I'm headed out of here. Have a fantastic day, YouTube.